Why a fed-up empath is more dangerous than the narcissist ever imagined. They never saw this coming, because you weren't the kind of person who snaps loudly. You tried to talk it through. You tried to be fair. You tried to word things carefully so you wouldn't be misunderstood. You tried to stay calm so you wouldn't be painted as the problem. And that's exactly why the shift is so powerful. Because the most dangerous empath isn't the empath who explodes. It's the empath who stops supplying the one thing the narcissistic dynamic runs on, your reaction. In the next minute, I'm going to name what that fed-up moment really is, why it scares a narcissistic person more than anger ever could, and the one mistake empaths make right after they wake up that pulls them right back in. Then midway through, you'll get one clear action step that shuts the cycle down without begging, explaining, or proving anything. Here's the first truth. A narcissistic person doesn't fear your pain. They fear your clarity. Pain still negotiates. Clarity ends the why empathy was learned, not chosen negotiation. Pain still reaches for a better conversation. Clarity stops offering conversations as a form of self-sacrifice, and that's why a fed-up empath feels dangerous. Not because you become cool, but because you become unreachable to manipulation. Now, let's make this precise. A narcissistic dynamic is powered by two fuels, your focus and your confusion. Focus means you keep watching and tracking their moods, trying to predict the next shift. Confusion means you keep questioning yourself, replaying conversations, wondering if you're overreacting. As long as you're focused and confused, you are hooked. So what happens when you remove both? That's the fed-up moment. Fed up is not rage. Fed up is not revenge. Fed up is when your body stops volunteering. It's when something inside you says, I can't do this to myself anymore. And the narcissistic person never sees it coming because they're used to your conscience bringing you back. They count on your goodness. They count on your empathy. They count on your desire to be reasonable. They count on you thinking, maybe if I explain it one more time, they'll finally get it. But here's what you realize when you become fed up. They already get it. They just like the benefit of pretending they don't. That realization is the beginning of freedom, attachment wounds, and overgiving in love, and it's also the moment you stop giving your pain away as evidence. Because in a narcissistic dynamic, your empathy doesn't get rewarded. It gets used as a control system. Not because you're weak, because you're responsive, because you care about impact, because you feel responsibility for the emotional temperature in the room. And once they notice that, they learn something dangerous about you. They learn that you will abandon your own certainty to keep the peace. So they provoke, you respond, they accuse, you defend, they withdraw, you chase, they punish, you apologize. It's not a relationship anymore. It's a script. Now, here's the pattern. Interrupt that changes everything. What if the power isn't in what you say, but in how long you wait before you say anything? Because speed is how they steer you. A narcissistic person expects instant reaction, instant defense, instant explanation, instant emotional labor. Speed keeps you off balance. Time gives your nervous system a chance to settle. And once you settle, you can finally see the real shape of the dynamic. You notice that every conversation ends the same way. You explaining why your feelings are valid. You apologizing for your tone. You shrinking so they don't escalate. You trying to restore peace like it's your compulsion as coping, not weakness job. And you realize something brutal. You've been trying to earn basic respect. Respect is not something you earn with perfect words. It's a choice someone makes. That's why the fed-up empath becomes dangerous, because you stop participating in the debate. You stop trying to be believed. You stop trying to prove you're not the villain in their story. You stop arguing with distortions. You start acting like your reality matters. And a person who needs you, doubting yourself, will panic when you don't. Now here's an open loop you need to hear, because it's where many empaths relapse right after you wake up. The narcissistic person usually runs one of two plays. They either escalate or they perform reform. I'll tell you how to spot the performance in a way you can't unsee in a few minutes. But first, let's talk about what fed up really looks like. Fed up looks like no longer rehearsing what you'll say to avoid their reaction. Fed up looks like not feeling the urge to fix the air after they've made things tense. Fed up looks like letting someone be disappointed without rushing to rescue them from their feelings. Fed up looks like not replying immediately just to relieve your own anxiety. Fed up looks like seeing the pattern and not needing to name it 10 times. And here's a line that might sting, but it sets you free. Many empaths don't stay because they love the person. They stay because they love the version of themselves they become when they're trying to save someone, the patient one, the understanding one, the loyal one, the bigger person. But that implicit memory, when the body remembers, identity comes with a cost, temporary peace. And temporary peace is expensive. You pay with self-trust. You pay with sleep. You pay with your ability to feel safe in your own body, because your body knows when you're betraying yourself. That's why you feel it as dread before a message, a drop in energy after a conversation, a tight chest when their name appears, a strange guilt when you did nothing wrong. That's not weakness. That's your nervous system telling you this is not safe. Now let's address something that confuses a lot of people. Why do narcissistic people often get worse when you become calmer? Because calm breaks their strategy. They can handle anger. Anger proves you're still engaged. Anger gives them a fight. Calm gives them nothing to grab. Calm says, I can live without your approval. Calm says, I can tolerate your disappointment. Calm says, I'm not going to argue about reality. And that's why they often escalate right when you stop reacting. They're trying to restart the machine. Now here is the mid-V video loop I promised. The biggest mistake empaths make after they get fed up is this. They still explain. They stop chasing, but they send a final essay. They stop arguing, but they offer a final closure talk. They stop apologizing, but they write a perfect message to finally be understood. And it feels empowering for a moment until that message gets weaponized. Because in this dynamic, your explanations become material. Your honesty becomes leverage. The mind-body link explains simply. Your vulnerability becomes a handle. So the shift you need is not a better paragraph, it's a better boundary. And here's your one clear action step, simple, clean. Use it once and the whole pattern changes. The next time you feel pulled into defending yourself, apply the 24-hour pause rule. One day, no long reply, no clarify, no let me just fix this misunderstanding. You pause for 24 hours and ask yourself one question. What am I trying to earn right now? An apology, fairness, closure, safety. If you have to earn it, it's not being offered. Then if you choose to respond, you use one sentence. One, not 5, not a paragraph. One sentence that names your boundary and ends the cycle. Here's the structure. I'm not available for disrespect. We can talk when it's respectful. That's it. No courtroom, no evidence, no list of examples. If they push you, repeat the same sentence or you don't respond. Your nervous system is learning a new language, not arguing for your worth. Now, the two plays I promised. Escalation or reform. Boundaries without hatred. Escalation looks like blame, rage, threats, silent treatment, smear campaign, sudden cruelty. Reform looks like a sudden apology, tenderness, tears, self-awareness, spiritual language. I finally get it. I can't lose you. I'll change. Here's how you spot whether it's real. Real change shows up as consistent behavior over time without requiring you to collapse your boundary. If their change only appears when you're leaving, it's not change, it's a hook. If their apology required you to drop your standards, it's not repair, it's a reset. And here's the part that protects your heart. You don't have to diagnose them. You don't have to convince them. You don't have to win the argument. You just hold your line, because the healed empath doesn't need to be believed to be free. They only need to be loyal to themselves. Now let's land the core truth in your body, not just your mind. A fed-up empath becomes dangerous when they stop doing 3 things. They stop absorbing responsibility for someone else's behavior. They stop confusing empathy with self-abandonment. They stop negotiating with disrespect. Closing truth. Self-possession is power. And when you stop those 3 things, your life reorganizes. Your mind quiets down. Your body relaxes. Your intuition sharpens. Your standards rise without you needing to announce them. And the people who relied on your overgiving start calling you different. You are different. Not colder, clearer. And clarity is the one thing this dynamic can't survive. So if you're listening and you feel that familiar pull to doubt yourself, hear this. Your sensitivity was never the problem. The problem was where you kept placing it. You kept offering a rare resource to someone who only knew how to consume it. Now you're learning how to protect it. And that is not cruelty. Eversource recap. They never saw this coming because they expected your empathy to bring you back. But a fed-up empath removes focus, and confusion pauses instead of reacts, and replaces explanations with one clean boundary. Your action step is the 24-hour pause and the one-sentence boundary. And if you want the missing piece after this, watch the next video about the silent moment. An empath detaches forever because that's where the final chord breaks, and it explains why you can't go back once your nervous system has finally told the truth.